Welcome back to the World Skills UK International Skills Summit from Dudley College of Technology in the heart of the West Midlands here in the Black Country. It's great to have you with us, and thank you once again to our hosts at Dudley College of Technology who have been fantastic, and you've heard a lot about the facilities that are on offer at this particular venue. But I think we've been particularly impressed by the facilities we're hearing about across the country. Wherever you are, if you're lecturing, if you're studying, if you're part of FE, we'd love to know what is on offer where you are, because one of the things we're discussing at our key point is skills for growth. It is skills that will take us out of where we are to where we need to be. And we'd love to know what the situation is up and down the country, not just in England, but across Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales as well. Now, I'm delighted to say that in this session, we're joined for the afternoon keynote address by Kate Green, OBE MP, about how important skills will be in rebuilding our economy. A very brief history of Kate. Sounds like a brief history of time, but it's going to be slightly briefer than that. She was a member, then chair of the London Child Poverty Commission, chief executive of the Child Poverty Action Group, also director of the National Council for One-Parent Families. She spent 15 years at Barclays Bank. We're going to speak more about that when she sits down, because she said something rather interesting, which I shall pick her up on later. Shadow Secretary of State of Education right now, and she's also, of course, a Labour MP serving as constituents MP for Stretford and Urmston since 2010. So, Kate Green, it's over to you for your keynote afternoon address.
Well, thank you so much, Simon, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here in Dudley at this fabulous college, where this morning I've had the opportunity to tour some of the facilities and speak to a number of the very impressive students that I've seen here today. And it really has been great to see the talent and the enthusiasm of these young people. Students and the skills system have faced unprecedented challenges following the major disruption we've seen to learning throughout the pandemic. But it's so heartening to tour the inspired campus here at the college today and meet the next generation of students studying IT, games, media, art, design, and digital technologies. Hearing them talk about their studies and their aspirations, I've really felt the passion they have for their future careers. And it's a huge credit to everyone here in Dudley and to all the colleges and providers who've successfully navigated the many financial and logistical challenges you've faced over the course of the pandemic, enabling students like those I've been speaking to today to continue their learning and on their journeys into the world of work. And throughout the pandemic, what you've been showing as a sector, if it were ever in doubt, is that the apprenticeships and skills system must be an essential part of how we rebuild our country as we recover from the greatest disruption most of us have ever known in our lives. A wholehearted commitment to a world-class vocational education system and apprenticeships where opportunities to learn, earn and develop new skills are available to all, whatever their background, will be vital for our future success and prosperity as we rebuild as a country. And for Labour, listening to and working with you in the sector is a top priority to ensure that. It's also very exciting to be here today at the International Skills Summit, and I do particularly want to put on record my thanks to and support for World Skills UK for the incredible job you do in promoting and facilitating skills development in this country. I know the benefits you bring both to our economy and to our skills base. And I think the points we're hearing, for example, from Neil today about the productivity challenge and the importance of skills for our international trade are fascinating. And of course, there are immense benefits for young people individually, learning and developing crucial transferable skills that are so valuable to employers and industry. Skills competitions have the potential to engage and inspire the next generation, as the many successes of Team UK have shown over the years. I first came across the work of World Skills UK some years ago at my local college, Trafford College, and I can testify to the pride and excitement that I saw among the students participating at world-class level. They knew they were being challenged to reach the very top of their game. And it was just inspiring to see the motivation and commitment that was engendered by the competition in which they took part. I could not be prouder to see the talent of young people in our country on show to the whole world. Our task is to ensure we harness this enormous potential, supporting young people's entry into the high-quality technical skills routes that our country will require. And it is especially fitting that we're here today in the West Midlands to set out a plan for a future that must have skills, training and employment at its heart. Because the West Midlands has always been a critical hub for manufacturing, engineering and innovation. It's a region steeped in a rich history of enterprise that will continue to lead the way in adapting to the changing world of work in the decades to come. The next 20 years will create new challenges and imperatives for our skills system as the coronavirus pandemic gives way to the social and political challenge of climate change and the challenge of the digital revolution. We will see new industries born as the old decline, creating hundreds of thousands of opportunities for young people not yet at work to older workers retraining in new, high-wage, low-carbon industries. And that's why we must ensure that people of all ages and backgrounds have the chance to retrain and reskill in new industries as old jobs disappear. Even pre-pandemic, the advancement of automation heralded the necessity for retraining and reskilling opportunities to become more widely accessible. But as vocational education and training became more important to our economy, sadly, it became less important to our government. FE funding has been cut almost in half since 2010, and apprenticeship starts among under 25-year-olds are down 40% since 2016. As vacancies in crucial sectors such as health and social care, engineering and IT have risen, training opportunities in these sectors have disappeared. Health and social care student numbers down 153,000 in the 3 years to 2020. Engineering students falling by 71,000. IT students down by 52,000. The skills system must be equal to the challenges our society and economy face. But after a decade of Conservative government, it's lagging behind, wasting huge individual and economic potential. It surely goes without saying that skills and training must be at the heart of our economic strategy. Skills are essential to support new and emerging businesses, vital for the green economy that will drive our country to net zero and tackle the climate crisis head on. But as we also face the threat coming out of the pandemic that young people will experience the toughest jobs market for a generation, those in desperate need of new opportunities have been overlooked by our government. We must secure the opportunities and the foundation to support them into work, just as Labour's jobs promise would guarantee. Yet while hundreds of thousands of young people have experienced unprecedented disruption to their education, from lost learning to exams chaos, and although young workers are by far the most likely to have lost their jobs as a result of the pandemic, over 600,000 people under the age of 35 lost their jobs in the last year. Many of them cannot access the education or training they need. 16 to 19 catch-up funding has been woefully insufficient, and despite the huge importance of careers advice and guidance, it hasn't recovered since David Cameron's government brutally slashed it. Apprentices, BTEC and vocational students have been repeatedly treated as second-class students, and there's still no credible plan to get them into the workforce. And it's not just young people. Millions of people who are in low-paid, insecure work often in sectors that have faced the greatest disruption in the last year and who need to retrain or gain skills to work in a new sector, are locked out of the government's offer on Skills 2. The government's lifetime skills guarantee is simply not guaranteed for everyone. It's not guaranteed because people can't use it if they're already qualified to level 3, even if they need to train for a new industry. They can't use it unless they're getting a qualification that the government has decided is valuable, which would include most of the subjects I saw students today studying. And they cannot use it if they need maintenance support. We need to do much better than this. So, as my colleagues and I study the details of the government's skills bill published yesterday, Labour will be pressing ministers to raise their ambitions to ensure that access to vital training and skills opportunities are available to all who need it and to act far sooner. Millions of people across the country cannot afford to wait 4 years for the Conservatives to put opportunities in place. If we don't rise to the urgency of the challenge, another generation face having their life chances jeopardised, with the national economy and local communities suffering as a result. Despite a decade of their mismanagement, I do now desperately want the government to get skills policy right. Labour believes in a high-skill, high-wage economy that offers fulfilling, rewarding work, jobs in which people will take great pride. We need a skills system that genuinely transforms life chances, that creates new opportunities for those who need them, and that has the potential to make our society fairer and our economy, from households to businesses, more prosperous and secure. The urgency now is to put in place structures to facilitate this, starting with the reform of the apprenticeship levy, which, since its introduction, has locked out those small and medium-sized businesses who have a big role to play in offering opportunities to young people to train and to work. Yet apprenticeship starts across the board have plummeted, with young people bearing the brunt of the decline, often in favour of more senior, well-qualified staff pursuing postgraduate level qualifications. Fundamental review of the levy is therefore imperative to bring about the investment in training essential to individuals, employers and our economy. A reformed apprenticeship levy must ensure that those most in need of training can access it, and that there are pathways and support for learners to progress, enabling them to get to the starting gate for high-quality apprenticeships, including through traineeships. And a reformed levy must ensure that all businesses and regions of the country can benefit. Labour has ideas about how we can approach this. Last year we put forward a proposal to subsidise wages, which would have seen the levy underspend used to create 85,000 new apprenticeships for young people. We've called for government initiatives, T-levels, kickstart, traineeships, apprenticeships, to work together in a more coherent way. And we must also look at and learn from how the apprenticeship system in other countries is conducted. And we can use the expertise of organisations like WorldSkills UK and your global network to see how we can adapt the levy to reach those who benefit most from it, improving their life chances and our country's economic success. There's one other aspect of government policy that I believe needs to be radically rethought. An over-centralised system dictated by Whitehall will not work for local communities and local economies. It will perpetuate the decline of some of our poorest communities and most marginalised areas, forcing too many young people to move away in search of work. Now, Labour argues that regional and local leaders who've been apparently sidelined from the proposed local skills improvement plans must be empowered to build a skills system in partnership with colleges like here in Dudley and with local employers. I hope that's something that resonates here in the West Midlands, as it does in my home area of Greater Manchester, in Liverpool, in London, right across the country. Our metro mayors, local leaders and combined authorities must have a major role in determining the training offer in their area so that it reinforces and supports their regional and local regeneration strategies and ensures the economic prosperity of their areas and the prosperity of individuals and families they represent. So I really want to conclude by saying what a great opportunity it is to be here in Dudley today and to be participating in World Skills UK's International Summit at a time when skills and education and training have never been more important to our country. And to say to World Skills UK, to colleges and providers, thank you. You will be at the heart of our recovery from the pandemic. You will be at the heart of our economy's future as we move forward into an unpredictable, uncertain, but world with many opportunities that our young people are eager to seize. And I congratulate you on the work you are doing to encourage and support a skills system that supports the success of our wonderful young people and of our country in the days to come.
Many thanks for that. That is Kate Green, Labour MP for Stretford and Urmston since 2010 and also Shadow Secretary of State for Education. I was just going to invite you. We've already done it. Good. That saves a bit of time because I know we've also crucially got to use every moment we can before I know you have to leave us. I think before we start on some reflections on the detail of your speech, I think you had the same experience as I did walking around here seeing a generation of highly enthused, highly skilled, highly motivated students which will lead this country out of recovery, into recovery.
I was actually blown away by what I saw, and a lot of it that, you know, when I was as a student or starting my working life, these jobs did not exist. Nobody could have imagined these career paths. And that says something to me about how that will go on being the case, that we'll see that accelerating, new jobs, new opportunities, new industries that maybe we can't imagine today, but which are definitely coming down the track. And so we need people to be skilling up for those new opportunities, training and retraining, lifelong learning, so that as the economy around us reshapes and redevelops, we are ready with workforce capacity to meet the new challenges and opportunities that we face, and really to recognise that people who are starting out their working lives today, they're still going to be working in the 2060s, maybe even into the 2070s. None of us can imagine what the world of work is going to look like by then. So what we need, what we saw today, is a really agile, responsive, creative skills offer in close partnership with employers that really liberates and makes the most of the potential of these wonderful young people.
You can't have failed to notice at home or in the office and any of those consuming your words that you were highly critical of the Conservative government. Now, they would probably say that only last week in the Queen's speech they announced a major new skills, what they described as a skills revolution. And we've also seen a number of ministers with with skills in their title as part of their portfolio who are very, very committed to ensuring we upskill, we are world class, and we have a generation of people who are involved in the right industries. We've seen Boris Johnson at many factories and many of the ministers doing those rounds of tours. So they would say they're doing it.
Well, they certainly haven't been doing it for the last 10 years. As I was saying a few moments ago, the absolutely brutal funding cuts that have been suffered by the FE and adult education sector over the last 10 years have put us in a very, very fragile position, even before the pandemic. And now the labour market has become so much more unstable and challenging that underinvestment, those cuts are really being proven to have been deeply, deeply harmful and really setting us back as we need to embark on our recovery. And, you know, no matter how many photo opportunities the Prime Minister might turn up to, no matter how many ministers have skills somewhere in their job title, none of this is going to work unless the kind of investment that is going to be needed to enable our country, our economy to compete on the world stage, and we have some very, very powerful economic competitors who are making this investment. You know, if we don't see the financial settlement to underpin these commitments in the spending review that we expect later on this year, for example, then I'm afraid what we will know we have heard from ministers in the last few weeks are just hollow promises. And I think our young people and our future workforce deserve better than that.
And very briefly, you said it'd be hard to imagine what life will be like in the world of work in the 2060s, 2070s. What's the most surprising thing that's happened through your career trajectory that you just couldn't have foreseen when you left school, when you started at higher education, further education?
Yeah, digital communication, the fact that I can do everything on a little phone in my pockets. You know, the idea that I'd be able to look at a map so I could find Dudley College when I got off the train, the idea that I'd be able to book a restaurant if I wanted to go out this evening, the idea that I can chat with a relative on the other side of the world on FaceTime or WhatsApp, the idea that all the information I might need to analyse the government skills bill now, its contents, the underlying economic context that I might want to investigate, all that data accessible to me, not, you know, technically particularly expert, that I can hold all that in my hand. We might have dreamed of that when I was a child or a young woman, but I remember saying to my mum, wouldn't it be great if we had phones where you could see the person you're talking to? I mean, really,
And your mum
we're
said,
light years on
don't be
from
silly.
that.
It will never happen.
I think my mum said, well, I hope I've done my hair when we get them.
Listen, even though you could have done this remotely through all that technical expertise that we spoke about, thank you for coming in live. It's great to see you in person and to be here with us in Dudley. Thank you very much indeed.
It's great to be with people.
And thank you for your speech as well. That is Kate Green, who is Labour MP for Stretford and Urmston and also Shadow Secretary of State for Education. This is the WorldSkills UK International Skills Summit. Coming up, we're going to be discussing and really reflecting on the day we've just all enjoyed. But before that, I just want to remind you that we're at Dudley College of Technology. We've been hugely helped by some of the students here. We've been given a tour and we filmed some of that tour. Some of the footage you will see right now has been filmed by some of those students. So let's see where we've been over the last couple of days. The WorldSkills UK International Skills Summit is coming from the Dudley College of Technology in the heart of the Black Country. But right now, you may be able to hear in the background quite a bit of noise because we're on a building site. The question is, why are we on a building site? Well, Nigel Sidwell is Construction Curriculum Manager here at Dudley College. First of all, where are we?
We're at the Construction Groundworks Training Centre at the back of Inspired Campus. This is where we train apprentices and unemployed people to either gain the skills they need to complete their apprenticeship or to gain the skills needed to go into employment.
And it's not an insult, is it, when I say to you this is literally a construction site?
Not at all, no. This is where we train our apprentices in real world situations. As you can hear with the noise and with the facilities that we've got, we try to replicate as best as possible the real world situations that our apprentices and our employed people would go into if they went onto a construction site.
But diversity and inclusion has been incredibly important and no doubt really useful for those businesses who require not just one view. They can have a source of opinion from every part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got such a diverse range of apprentices that we train at the CAT Centre and through this facility. We have to reflect the changing world out there and we try our best where possible to reflect that within our business that we carry out here. So we've got different types of toilets, we have different types of facilities, prayer rooms, and everything that we try to facilitate for our apprentices and our students.
So tell us how you became an apprentice.
Well, I was just one day I was doing college and then I just not an apprenticeship, just a college normally, and I never thought, I really enjoy it. And then I was looking on the government website one day and I found this and I was like, it's outdoors and I thought I might enjoy it, so I tried it. I tried for the interview and I got it eventually.
And where do you want this to take you in the long run?
Hopefully I can get the qualifications and finish this course successfully, pass everything, and then we'll see move from there. I guess my company that I work for, when I'm not here, when I'm not training here, hopefully they can give me more training and I can improve and get even more qualifications and eventually hopefully move into management if I can, if that's possible.
It's so interesting to see the various skills and facilities here. And what was interesting when we shot that, it was fantastically sunny when we did. But as we're seeing in May has become the new April, showers either side. And we had lunch outside today, but as soon as we came back in, we've had very, very heavy rain here in Dudley in the West Midlands, and I'm sure that may well be the case where you are as well. But now the sun's out and the birds are singing again. Well, no one stays here for the weather, do they? Now, it was fascinating hearing Kate Green earlier on, who was Labour MP for Stretford and Urmston, and also she's Shadow Secretary of State for Education. Emma Roberts is back with us from WorldSkills UK, and it was interesting reflecting on what Kate had to say. She was clearly impressed, in fact, in her words, blown away by what she saw in terms of the students and the facilities here. She was highly critical of the government, but she was very, very well aware of what the COVID crisis has done and the challenges it's given to our skills system.
Absolutely, Simon, yeah, and I think the key message for me was that she really recognises the economic importance of technical education. So yes, it's been really tough during the pandemic, but actually if we get world-class skills, that can help power our recovery and make sure that young people have got fantastic opportunities to build their careers, to get really sustainable, well-paid jobs, and to make sure our employers have got the skills pipeline that they need to build up their businesses, be more productive and be innovative. You know, and that's a great message for us to hear, building on Neil's speech this morning, which is all about that same thing, about building a world-class skills economy.
And it was interesting also hearing the list of areas that she felt had declined in student numbers. So, for example, IT students, engineering, health and social. The level of student intakes, she was very worried about that decline, and presumably facilities like this here at Dudley College of Technology, and we heard Neil talking about that he's actually part of a West Midlands-wide group of colleges, and others across the country will have to work quite hard to reduce that gap.
Absolutely, and that's backed up by some of our latest research with Ingenuity and the Learning and Work Institute, which looked at digital skills in particular and found a real disconnect between the digital skills that employers are looking for and the digital skills that are coming through in terms of supply of young people through schooling, university and FE. So that definitely recognise that problem, but it's something we're trying to tackle. WorldSkills UK is as you know, kind of invested in showing the career opportunities that young people can have in technical education, and we're actually making a real point in our next Spotlight career talks for young people in the autumn to showcase digital skills. So hopefully the Shadow Secretary of State will enjoy seeing that in the autumn.
All right, Emma Roberts from WorldSkills UK, thank you for joining us once again this afternoon. Thank you for that.